Um, I mean, I've been running all around. Let's have a minute just to settle. Okay, thank you. So for me, that was a little retreat right there. I'm supposed to talk about retreat today. And I had so much information in my life now, like times 20. And just the oasis of the cushion or the mat, or the time when the phone is on an airplane, to see it as a nutrition of stillness, solitude, less bombardment of waves, less information. And it's really hard for me to get on my cushion or on my mat. I'm bad. And that's a story that's built up because I like to do things and I like to be busy. I'm an output kind of guy. I like to make stuff. But then that idea of Michael doesn't do his practice started to form like scar tissue in my psyche. And then because I would tell myself that more often, I would start to believe it. So giving opportunities, just if you're about to cross the street and you're standing on the corner and you say, I'm going to feel my Tadasana, and be fully present for an exhale and an inhale. And sense myself. That could be meditation. And then I don't have to say to myself, I didn't meditate today. That was a meditation. It was a one breath meditation, but I find a lot more encouragement from the steps on the path and whatever the path's supposed to lead to. And then one breath meditation leads to 3. 5 minutes sit could lead to 18. So there's a natural seduction of the practice because it's just so good for us. And it feels so good to give it to ourselves. So it's not like a severity in getting to retreat. I'm supposed to do this. It's supposed to be boring. I'm not supposed to Netflix. You know? And it's something that's actually one of the most memorable experiences of our life, is retreat. I can say, like, all the busyness of an average New York day, by and large, I don't remember anything. I can't tell you what I ate for lunch last week. I can't tell you who I talked to. It's just like a wash. But I can tell you my retreat experience deeply, and the breakthroughs that were allowed to happen because the set and setting were there. So I'd like this time together to be discussion and conversational. Don't feel like you have to just sit there and listen and scribble furiously. I'll give you the best of what I know about retreat, and feel free to ask all the questions. Deal? Yeah. All right. So my question for y'all is, who's been on what you think of as a retreat? Group retreat or solitary? Okay. So have you been on solitary retreats, group retreats?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I first got introduced to retreat from you about 8 years ago. Is that when it was? Is that when Sarva's first year was?
2010.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eight years ago, and there were lots of sort of particularities, and at that point there were a lot of particularities and kind of rules. But I mean, since then I've certainly had a lot of one-day retreats, and for me, retreat was a 5-day solo, and also any time in between that, and I've also been on some group retreats that were 5 or 6 day group.
Excellent.
But lots of one-day retreats. Haven't had thought of the one breath as retreat until right now, but lots of one-day retreats.
Yeah.
And part of that is 1 day a week on not doing email, which is now sort of 1 day a week trying to not do social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how has it influenced your life since you started doing retreats?
Oh, I mean, I love them. I would love to do more retreats, but I just try to sort of integrate the idea around my life. I mean, around being a parent, and I mean, I try to sort of make it work for me. You know, I instead of feeling like, oh my God, I'm like not doing it right, or I can't do it because I'm a parent. I mean, I try to really bring the ideas to sort of where I'm at, try to meet the two. Yeah, influence it greatly. Yeah, love it. Love it. I'd like to do more. It just brings a whole lot of creativity. There's so many different ways to do retreat. I mean, just in class, I thought, like maybe I could lead a retreat. Maybe I could go back to Africa and lead a retreat there. Like, and like the asana brought me to that. It's not like I was thinking about that, but that's just like one of the thoughts that came up. Like, oh, maybe I could do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are, and I've found in my life those are the things that have led me on my path, versus some sense of, oh, I'm supposed to do this, or it's some clever idea I'm trying to dangle in front of myself, and it's just like, here it is. One of the major benefits of the practice is we're more prone to be inspired. You raise your hand?
Yes, and this opens up my conversation. I'm not actually sure what it involves. So I did something that I thought was a retreat. It was called a retreat, but I'm not actually sure. So what I did was I went to Siddhananda, the ashram in the Bahamas. And while there were different options of sort of what to do, my husband and I took it to create what we thought was creating a retreat. So here's what we did. We can see if it worked. So we did chanting and meditation in the morning in the temple, and then we did asana, and then we attended workshops in the afternoon, and we ate a communal lunch, and then the afternoons were off, and we did asana in the evening, and then chanting.
No marshmallows?
There was no fire. No, it was really no fire. We probably could have made one on the beach, but we didn't. So I don't know if that was. I don't necessarily know what's involved in a retreat.
Well, who's to say it was or wasn't?
I don't know. We felt like it was. We learned a lot, and that's what we went seeking. But then other people were there on vacation, so then we were a little bit confused. But some people lived there also, and some people were dedicating like months or years of their life to being there. And so it was like, well, we're going to take more choose the people that are really doing the stuff, not the people that are on vacation. Maybe it was more retreats. I wasn't really sure. But I took away from it a lot. And we like worked on meditating and like, tried to teach ourselves how to meditate like on the beach and stuff. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, I've found vacations far more stressful and dissatisfying than a retreat. Mm-hmm. I'm way more exhausted at the other end. Someone forgets their bucket and shovel, you got to go back for it, and then it's like we're working our asses off, and it's like, well, I better fucking relax. I worked so hard to get to Nosara or whatever, and like there's that pressure to have fun, and you're not having fun because everything goes wrong at some point, and then you get back and become exhausted. A retreat, if you haven't been, it's a lot more relaxing and a lot more restorative. Who else has gone?
Mine was also kind of a mix of people there on vacation and a retreat, but there was daily yoga practice. And I felt like it was helpful in that it was small enough of a group that it could be a workshop, so I got to practice more. And I'm usually like a very active vacationer, so I'm very exhausting when I go. But I think during the retreat I was able to let go a little bit and not plan and relax, but also still reap some of the benefits of being away.
Cool. And there's one more person over here. Yeah.
Yes. So I went to Diamond Mountain last year, and I had very little idea about Buddhism and what it's about. But I just enjoyed like being in Geshe Michael's presence. So I went there just to see what it's going to be like, and it was an interesting experience because it was a long reading. So they were talking about depressing things. And I didn't want to think about it, to meditate on that. So I just ended up, like during the silence days, I just ended up like hiking in the area and like taking pictures. At the end, I realized that actually, like how much I enjoyed being there, and I didn't really feel like my life. I'm actually happy with my life here. So I realized that there really is no, for me, like retreat out there and life out here. So I have to work on my life here to make this as a retreat.
You want to switch?
Valedictorian.
Yeah. You're here. Yeah. Well, I walked in here with not enough, I thought, material. Now I have too much. So let's start with this idea of in the city, in life, retreat conditions. I think of this as pratyahara. Who knows what pratyahara means? Sense withdrawal. Yeah, one by one, like a turtle pulling her head and her legs into the shell. We pull the senses in to the space of mind. And this is really cool. I discovered this teaching in the 300 hour that Allison and I led together last year. Different forms of pratyahara. One is called Indriya pratyahara. So Indriya means the senses. I-N-D-R-I-Y-A. Indriya. And one of the easiest ways is to close the eyes. About 80% of the processing power of the brain goes to processing visual imagery. But when you close your eyes, all that energy can be used for other things internally. I kind of think of it as like the Daredevil character from Marvel Comics. You know? He's quote unquote blind, but his other senses are so much more powerful. His proprioception, sense of hearing is like dog range. Everything else heightened. Has anyone ever eaten dinner that someone else made for you blindfolded? Or you didn't know what you were going to get? Try it. Try it. It'd probably be one of the more memorable meals of your life. Indriya pratyahara could be a staycation at home where you shut off your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth. You don't turn on the television, you know. Like a Shabbat. No electricity. With respect to the subtle body and lung, we're in the way of radiation screens all the time. And we're going like this with our fingers and our thumbs all the time, radiation screens. And who knows what these waves' effects will be on us in 20 years. Well, at the very least, when you go to bed, airplane mode. Reduce the level of waves that you're being bombarded by. Last year, I very consciously contracted my circle of friends, probably by half. And the people who are creative, the people who know how to say no, I can't accommodate, so that when they say yes, they really mean it. People who do what they say they'll do. People who are inspiring, that's my circle now. It's half as much as it was, and I'm happier. And there's still room. There's still room to contract. Simplify. Simplify. Geshe gave a talk once on the reason to keep a kind of a clean, Spartan home is that if you think about your closet and all the shoes you own, can each of you imagine all your shoes? Now there's a certain level of processing power in the gray matter of the brain to remember that. Right? How many shoes? What color are they? What condition are they in? How many for sports? How many for formal? Your slippers. This takes up space. And so if you have a crowded closet with stuff you haven't touched in years, or knickknacks, memorabilia from trips, it's a choice to hang on to it, but it's also takes up precious mind space. So a purge once a year of things. Books you read, you're never going to read again. Give them away. Before I moved to Paris, I purged 90% of my stuff. And I don't miss any of it. None of it. I kept clothes, I kept instruments. I got rid of 90% of my library. And it was just like, I don't have to catalog it anymore. I have available processing power in my mind. Yeah. Any other ideas? The hive mind? How we would go about protecting the senses or cleaning the senses?
I like to go through old wardrobe, get rid of clothes too. What you're eating?
Say more.
Maybe removing things from your typical diet that you don't need or don't benefit you.
Yeah, like the difference if we make it like coffee. And I love coffee. The only person I talk to before I've had my coffee is the barista. But if I have 3 coffees, what it does to the senses, and like rushing through everything, and really it's like the opposite of tantra. It's like the gluttony that we have, try to fill the void, isn't the same as savoring something. When something's savored, it's like you have a clean palate. Like if I was going to give you a really good wine, you say, oh, well, here, have a piece of bread first, have some water, clean your palate. And then you could just have a drop of the wine and really experience it. And yeah, so like all the preservatives, stuff that kind of clogs our filters. Just like if the room in here was a blazing bright light, you wouldn't be able to see anything. You have to like get it so there's a clean canvas. If I was going to play guitar for you and there was like a room full of people talking and 2 stereos playing, the television on, so like, well, you can't hear anything. It's a bombardment of the senses. So clean, quiet, and you can hear everything. So this interrelationship, in a sense, between potential or emptiness, the availability that our senses have to feel, is something as practitioners we're cultivating as part of our vividness and being alive. sensually with my hand, like if Allison put a needle on the ground, but I was wearing a boxing glove, you know, I would never be able to feel or probe what it was she put on the ground. Just nothing. I can't pick it up. So the sensual bombardment that our culture indoctrinates, and we may be in the habit of in our own particular way, is to see it, get familiar with it, and slowly begin to wean. Not for denial, but for enhancement, enrichment. This is why I love female DJs way more than male DJs. Male DJs will go all fucking night, and you don't feel it anymore. You don't feel the power of the kick anymore because they don't stop. But when you take that kick away, and there's this feeling of floating for a second, and you can taste the other elements mixed, and then they bring it back at just the right time. It's like, there's a good DJ. Like, she probably knows how to cook too. Right? Like, I hate food where you can't taste the ingredients. It's like, I didn't like French food because it was too rich. I can't taste how much salt you chose to put in. Or, you know, was there sage? Was there rosemary? It's just like a mess. So this quality of minimalism or emptiness, if you want to say it that way, goes with form, vividness, really being able to get synesthetic with your experience.
Have you ever experienced this, like if you're talking to someone and it's like, you know, there's a computer here, or the phone's going off, or the TV is on, and like it's the connection with that person is like dulled in some way. Whereas if you're just sitting, the two of you, in a completely quiet room, looking at each other without any distraction, there's just another element. There's more deeper connection. It's like you get more communication, even not through your words, like your energy can mingle more. So it's kind of like what it's like getting rid of all the external noise so that you can have this really high fidelity connection. Right? Maybe not with another person, maybe just with yourself.
Part of retreat is abstinence from sexual activity, so like no sex, no masturbation. And what happens is your libido skyrockets. The energy of creativity, of, you know, literally when you're turned on, the energy's turned on, right? But you have now a chance to play with it in different forms. The hyper-sensualizing of your experience is enhanced when there's a period of abstinence. So again, this isn't about denial. This is about enrichment. And we find it in touch. Like, if I go up to Allison and I go, hey, how you doing? And I pat her on the back like this, or do this, and you get a bump. Boom. You know, I can't feel much with my knuckles, you know? I go like that. It's like a glancing blow. But can I see your palm? If I go like this, which is more intense? And I'm barely touching her. Barely touching. So imagine someone you didn't know came up to you and like barely touched your back. It's super creepy, right? But that's the point. That's the point. Like it's not in the bombardment. It's in the ability to feel fine things. If you know about ASMR, these are triggers that give you the chills. So if everyone has a different one, right? Like someone gave me a piece of chocolate. So if I opened it, I could see you're like, somebody like, please keep going. And I was like,
I don't get it.
yeah, it's very personal for each person. So like, what is it that gets on your goddamn nerves when someone does it? Like a little thing that gets on your nerves in a major way.
What is it? It's like just
It's like the chills, something that gives you the chills. It can be someone lightly brushing your back, or typing on small noises on a computer.
Scratching the chalkboard.
Whisper in a foreign language. But it also might be something that really gets on your nerves. Like my roommate, who I love, he's my brother, but he eats like a pig, loud. And I'm like in a car, and I'll have to pull the car over and be like, I'm going to kill you. And you eat in the fucking trunk. And that's such a pet peeve for me. Even in a loud movie theater, I can hear people. So it's like I can't go to the movies because I get so irritated. But it's not a loud thing. Right? It's just a thing that kind of gets in the cracks, and your energy starts to kick up. So Indriya Pratyahara is a place where we can really start to clean the senses so that we can have a vivid, enriched experience. Which goes into what Allison was dovetailing into is Prana Pratyahara. Prana means what?
Right.
Energy. It holds hands with breath. It holds hands with breath. There are two forms of wind. This is the subtle form of wind. So it says, control of our senses requires mastery over the flow of prana. And that is what drives the senses. To stop scattering all of the valuable vital energy of the body, or prana, we need to seek control over its flow and harmonize it. This is done through various practices, including bringing the entire focus to a single point in the body. So if you think of it as, upregulated energy, like I had 3 cups of coffee. I've been working on my computer without break. I have deadline pressure. I work in a high stressful environment. And that upregulated energy where we get into our heads and start to create more trouble for ourselves, that's one behavior of prana. It's too high, it's up here. Downregulated energy would be like when you're depressed.
That's the word I was looking for before, downright.
Exhausted, depleted, all the D's. The energy's too low. And it's like burnout. So the ability to optimize these two, to feel energy, first of all, requires this cleaning of our senses and resensitizing them. So that we can begin to directly experience flows of prana, flows of energy. An example, I'm a musician first. Okay, all this yoga stuff is just a way of staying generally well regulated in the city. When I'm in a good performance, I sing flamenco, and it's really good. My energy is both riveted, meaning I'm not moving. I don't pick up my glass. I don't make any noise. And I'm moved at the same time. There's something inside that's just seething with the passion of the dancers and the guitarista and the drummer. So I'm at the same time, I'm moved and I'm riveted. 2 different things, and there's no contradiction there. So this is what this is talking about the single pointedness. When we have this place where we're fully into what we're experiencing. Performance, a lover, a dinner, an exhibition, someone we're with. We're totally into that. Maybe writing. That single pointedness allows us to get in touch with the energy that is inspired. And it's the nourishment of single pointedness. and being eligible to channel beauty. So looking at the different ways that our prana can get dysregulated is maybe how we start. Like, what kind of company do you keep? You may find that after or through the training, you're like, I don't want to be around certain people anymore. I don't want to be around certain environments anymore. It's just like, I lost taste for it. Because it's either too upregulating or too downregulating or too toxic. It's just a vibe that you're not down with anymore. And your energy will tell you, you'll be able to feel it. Probably far less time on the subway. You know? More time walking, more time on bikes. Juno. Your space is a part of you, whatever that is. Media. I stopped watching horror movies for a long time when I got into yoga. I just couldn't handle gunfights and like violence. I don't want that in my mind. I can feel the residue of it. Angry news media, like the energy of polarized left and right. So that eventually, in the deeper practices, we're able to take our attention inside the chakra, inside the heart of the chakra, and feel where it's been closed, feel it pulse, hear the sound of it, like the whole inner realm that's there. The universally inside of your skin, you can begin to have the tranquility and the steadiness pierce it. And really see for yourself if all this blah blah you're being presented is true or not. Because it's really all just somebody else's story until you confirm it or deny it against your own experience. Geshe is incredible, but he doesn't have the magic wand to tap anybody on the shoulder and go, here, I dealt thee with this transcendent sensitivity. Can't do it. We have to do it. We have to, if we're really going to get this stuff the proper respect it deserves, test it. And then, also music, like the kind of music you listen to at the different times of day, and how that affects your energy. It can be medicine. I love metal during the day, like from noon until 8 o'clock. I like it really hard. But after 8, unless I'm in a concert, I want down tempo, I want classical, I want Brazilian jazz. It's because it's medicine. It's medicine. It's vibration. The third form of pratyahara is called mano pratyahara. What do you think mano means? Mano.
Sounds like one. Or hand.
Sounds like it. Mind. Mind. The withdrawal of the mind. Practice by consciously withdrawing attention from anything that is unwholesome. And distracting for the mind, such as by withdrawing attention from the senses and directing it inward. So unwholesome, it's subjective, of course. Like, you realize that focusing on our beloved president and this major fiascos is just pissing you off all the time. And your mind's too coarse to be focused on something subtle, then It's pratyahara, the news for a while. The trade-off is that you can go into the space of your mind and explore it. Doing this work, particularly in retreat, usually there's a lot of meditation in retreat because the setting is so good. Like you're in nature, it's a quiet place, you don't have horns, no Wi-Fi is really ideal. You know what you're going to eat, you know your schedule. Like there's no decision making. It's just all there. You just run the schedule. A caretaker usually, if it's for more than a week, you don't have to think about stuff. You know, just do the practices. And what happens is this flopping over at night when you go to sleep of all the meditative practice and all of the energetic activation, all of the physical yoga to de-stress, you become lucid in your dreams. And you can start to hold your attention on dream objects. And if it was a cat and you're focusing on the cat, you see, well, the cat is actually a Russian doll. And then that Russian doll turned into a totem that just fell over and then turned into a puddle. It's like you see directly through the fact that you see that you're dreaming. And that we're not in an intersubjective space in dreams, like here. In a dream, it literally is the creation of your mind. We're shaping causality with our mind, two different things. In a dream, I can go to the top of a building and jump off and I don't get hurt. In this form of reality, I get majorly injured, for sure. There's physics, there's other forms of causality we're at the mercy of. It's not all karma here. So in the space of the mind, you have this holographic playground where physics doesn't apply, that you can really go into these teachings and test them in some wild ways. You potentially can get back the 8 hours a day that you spend knocked out or just lost in a torrent of mental images. You could recover a third of your life. So, kind of a racehorse through that stuff. Three different kinds of pratyahara. Questions or insights from
What was the third one then? Indriya and Mana, or what was the other?
Prana pratyahara
Prana pratyahara.
came as the number 2 between Indriya and Mana. Yeah.
Yeah, my dreams on retreat are always like, wow, so crazy. They often like start with like being really terrifying, but then at the end of the retreat, they're more like just fantastical, like crazy, awesome things. And I learned so much from them. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like making decisions and like seeing myself do what I want in the dreams, but I'm like, I want to get there.
It actually happened to me after your class on Friday. I had a lot of legs up the wall and like had a lucid dream after a while.
Wow.
It's really
During the practice, or
no,
when you
right
went
after,
to
because
sleep?
it was at night when I went to sleep after practice, and I felt like it really had a connection to it. And it was a really cool dream.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
The mini retreat.
Yeah. It's really cool to control what you're doing in a dream. But the scariest part is knowing that you're in a dream, and it's a scary dream and you want to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the first time after your class that I was able to go back to my breath, calm down, and wake myself up. Because most of the times when I've had lucid dreams before, I would like freak out, like I want to wake up right now, but I can't. A lot of the times you're like, you want to wake up, but it's like, you stress out. And then I just relaxed into it, and I was able to open my eyes and get out of the dream when I wanted to. That was cool.
There's also a spinning technique inside the dream. Spin yourself around. That can happen.
To be able to open your eyes
If,
and wake up.
well, so you don't wake up, but you can spin yourself out of a scary situation. Also, consciously closing your eyes in the dream, inside the dream.
I'll try that next time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how my whole exploration into this stuff started. As a kid, having lucid dreams. I would dream I was plummeting. I was like a baby in my dream, in a basket, plummeting down a well. That feeling of free falling, and I would shock myself up over again, shock myself awake over and over again in bed. And it was such a recurrent thing. I was like, okay, I need a new strategy. So the next time I'm plummeting, I'm going to turn myself into a feather, and I'm going to go like this, which happened. But then that kicked up a whole nother level of energy underneath it that was just surging and building. So it's this place between it being too volatile or too dull. Just like in meditation, we're either like too unregulated and scattered or sinking. And it works that way in dreams. So that once you start to get the hang of it, and then you get excited, oh, I'm doing it, you realize you wake yourself up. Because, oh my God, I'm awake in a lucid dream, and then you wake yourself up. So that's where, just like the meditation practice, these spikes of joy and excitement, we trade up for like a wave of tranquility. So that, yeah, you know you're awake inside a dream, but you don't shock yourself awake.
Yeah, I felt like I freaked out that it was a lucid dream. And so I wanted to wake up. It's kind of scary when you know you're dreaming and you're in a situation.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, well, let's dive into the retreat stuff. And I said, it is an idea that we are or aren't in retreat. But this is for the retreat where you do go away, okay? And particularly by yourself. Group retreats are an ideal way to start, especially if the idea of it's intimidating. There are vacation retreats too. So it's like, if you're not ready to just dive into the kind of Spartan end, don't. Take it easy on yourself. Do 3 over 2 years and see how it feels. So the verse I'm going to read is from Jason Kappa. Do you know who he is? Jason Kappa is the father of the Dalai Lamas. And he channeled this great masterpiece called the Lamrim Chinmo in 1419. I think he was in retreat. And there was a statue of Lord Atisha, a very high teacher. And it was like a month-long retreat, and he just went into a reverie and channeled this 10,000-page masterpiece that no one could read. It was too deep, too long, too intricate. Nobody could read it. So he said, okay, fine, I'll boil that down to 1,000 pages. Still too much. 200 pages. Maybe. And then 14 verses, kind of scribbled on a cocktail napkin. And then he tied it to the leg of a raven, like in Game of Thrones, and sent it east out to one of his students who had just founded 108 new monasteries for him. And he was like, okay, Lama, I did it, now what? And he sent him this masterpiece in outline form, Cliff Notes form. And he said, now go teach the laity. So this is one of the verses from that work. It says, granted I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together. So distracted to wrong objects basically means being in the state of craving all the time. In this world that runs off of threats and bribes to get us to do something, if you don't go to work, then you'll be starving and homeless. So here's some money, Or like I was just at the retreat in Vermont. He's a single dad, and he has to bribe his daughter to eat her beans. Say, Luna, if you eat your vegetables, I'll give you a sundae. But if you don't eat your vegetables, you have to go sit on the steps for 3 minutes. You know, and he's a good man. That's all he can do. You know, kids push your goddamn buttons. And he's like, oh, now I'm doing what my parents did. You know, it's this reptilian form of bribing and threatening people. So no wonder we have 2 side channels that are poised for hostility and addiction. I mean, we've been helped with indoctrinate this for generations. Generations. So the idea of wrong objects, I mean, there's nothing wrong with chocolate. There's nothing wrong with the chocolate. But the fact that it's not satisfying in and of itself, the mind forgets this and goes, oh, I had a bad day. I want a piece of chocolate. And then says, I want 10. And then that first taste, how luscious the first one is, turns into nausea after 10. You know? And then we pay the price the next morning. So there's nothing wrong with the objects, it's just our misperception of what they can do, separate from our minds interacting with it. That's where the problem is. That's why we're doing all of this pratyahara and meditation practice and detoxification, so that you can really feel what the quality of air, water, food, company is, you know, what works for you and what doesn't. So retreat is like one of the ideal places to go and test all of this that we're sharing with you, and also to find this place of meditative stillness, because the schedule's set, all your things are at hand, it's a safe place, you don't have to worry about anybody else, and you go in there with everything you need and nothing you don't. So let's go through these conditions. There's 6 of them that are ideal for retreat. So number 1, a place to meditate that is conducive. A place to meditate which is conducive. So this is very Gelugpa. This has 5 subcategories. Okay? So 1A, 5 qualities of a conducive place. Stuff should be easy to find. I mean, your food, your water, access to heat, your materials that you bring in. You're not wasting your whole day hiking 2 miles to go get a painter's bucket of fresh water and come back. You know, it's like it's all there. Second one, it's a perfect place. For each person, that's different. For me, that means clean, no bugs, it's quiet, it's safe. There's some aspect of beauty to it. Like I have a retreat cabin that you're all welcome to in Vermont. There's the main house, and then about 100 yards from the main house is a Thai-style cabin. You could have 2 people in there comfortably, and it's a big vaulted ceiling, and then a loft bed, a bathroom, pantry, kitchen, and outside of the kitchen is a cantilevered balcony, meaning it's a 30-foot drop under it, and you can see into the forest. Like perfect sunset conditions from like 1 o'clock all the way until sundown. For me, it's perfect. There's not a single article in there that's extra either. Like just the right amount of utensils, just the right amount of plates. No bullshit. No Wi-Fi. So that's the third quality, it's a perfect location. So, you know, it's a 4-hour drive. I like the drive. It's a sense of getting out of the bubble of the city. For other people, they like beaches. So perfect is relative. The fourth quality is perfect companions. So if you were to go on retreat with some of your homies, like what would they be like? I'd like to go on a retreat with someone who'd been on way more than me. We don't really improve if we're working with people who haven't been doing it as long as us, or who aren't as good at it. So I would like to go with more seasoned practitioners than myself. People who don't complain. Maybe people who don't eat loud or snore. I'd like a cat on the retreat. So you think about it. If you went with 2 or 3 people, what would they be like? The last one of the qualities is that you have all your required articles. So that means your accoutrement, right, for your altar, if you do altars, like all the altar stuff. You have in your altar box. You have the texts you'll be studying. You have your retreat journal. You have an alarm clock that doesn't scare you when it goes off. You have your incense, your candles. Access the flowers if you're into that. I bring a guitar. The tea that helps you knock out at the end of the night. You kind of have a checklist of all the things to get, and then you bring them there on site. Make sense? Oh, I'd like to add a couple of things to a perfect place. Down in mountains, it's not an ideal place to do it. It's a dangerous place. It's a desert, and between the heat and the intense cold, it's hard. You got all kinds of poisonous snakes and scorpions. You got assassin needles. A lot of murder happened there from the Native Americans and the American soldiers, bloodbaths on that land. So if you believe in unruly spirits or ghosts, that's a place you'll find them. It's a dramatic place, and I think Geshe-la chose it partly because of the purification of what had happened there to the Native Americans. And he's a powerful person, so he wanted to go and cleanse the land and help to purify it. So if you don't want to, go into a haunted place or a place where someone was killed, or a place where someone did a lot of drugs, find a spot that someone's meditated a lot, and it's already been blessed and imbued by the good vibes of other practitioners. Question? By the way, on retreat, incense is a good one, particularly like sage, to cleanse the space before you go into it. And whatever happened here, I'm cleaning. And then also other forms of incense, like sandalwood or whatever you like, is good to feed spirits. They say that they can't eat, but they can eat through their noses, through scent. So it's like a pacifier for anything that would come and and mess with you, because frankly, you are opening up. And there are different forms of consciousness that are non-physical, that for people who are very open, like we can have entity attachment or something that's not welcome in your space. So I like boundary, I bribe, I put incense outside the boundary of the cabin. There are some instances that attract powerful allies that you want there helping you. So this can all be imbued with your intention. For perfect location, you know, do your best to find a quiet place, but they don't exist. Everywhere is noisy. If you're in the country, you're going to hear gunshots, you're going to hear chainsaws, you're going to hear catbirds.
You're in Texas, chainsaw.
Yeah, and then you're going to hear the sounds of the environment.
Gunshots and chains.
Yeah, totally. At least in Vermont. You know, there'll be mice or squirrels in your roof, or maybe even the structure. Catbirds start singing at 4:15 every morning. So forget about totally quiet. And I'm not really sure it would help us anyway. We live in a sensual environment, so. All the required articles, I guess, caveat here would be permission from your teacher that you're working with, and her blessing, or his blessing. That they know you're in, they're going to be sending you good vibes. If you're in a tantric retreat, that you've had the proper empowerments and initiations to go in, you didn't just like buy a book on tantra from Amazon and go for it. It's also good to have someone on the outside of your retreat that you can call if you need them. Like, hey, come get me. Or I got hurt, and help. You know, the numbers of like fire department, police, medics, just in case that you have it. So these next list are pretty common sense. Reduce your needs. Like I always overpack, and I'm learning I probably won't use 80% of what I packed in the bag. So you know how many days there you were going to be, that's how many pairs of underpants. You don't need to bring like all these different dresses. Like for the most part, you're going to need your sweats, your tights, a shawl is really good. Because your body temperature, when you start to get more in your astral body, your body temperature, one of the signs of that, it will go up and down. It will go up and down. So it's nice to be able to have a layer if you get cold, and then drop the shoulder off if you get hot without really fidgeting. Don't bring like a whole massive Whole Foods aisle, and like you can keep the food where it's simple to cook. Like dal is really good. You can like make a pot of it and eat it for 3 days. Vegetarian diet's ideal. Is that pretty obvious? And for some of us, we need more iron. So if you know that's you, then bring beef jerky or something. But ideally, it's a vegetarian diet, as non-violent as possible, organic, clean. You not a lot of plastic. It's like really embarrassing to go on a group retreat and like they have plastic, and you look at this like bag of garbage accumulating as we're there to like attune. It's like they're going into a heated yoga class. Like, it's just obscene. Why are we burning fossil fuels to practice? You have the ability to create heat, so like as light of a footprint as possible. You compost the stuff you don't eat, no plastic, leave the place better than you found it. And it's nice, you get this really kind of sweet connection to all of your utensils. That's my spoon. Being content with what you have. Practicing gratitude and contentment.
What word did we learn for contentment?
Santosha.
The fourth one is to keep your ethics, which in a solitary retreat, it's easier because you're there by yourself. But again, it's a chance to look at how you relate to yourself. How does the psyche talk to itself? Usually in retreat, the shadow side of the psyche will really rear up.
Yeah, that's when I go on retreat, the first couple days, like every bad thing I can think of, every terrible thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But then it like subsides, and I'm like, oh, that's over.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Oh, did I raise my hand?
Sorry.
Yeah, and be kind. Like, if you do a long weekend retreat, it's great. It's a dip of the toe, but frankly, day one is mostly just arriving and setting everything up and settling in. Day two is usually where you start to break down a bit. You get a bit depressed. You think, oh, I miss everybody and all that bullshit I was dealing with in the city. I really love all that bullshit. And you get to see how crazy we are. We're like, oh, I'm here now. It's fucking boring. And
I did this where I'm like, why do I do these things? Why didn't I just go to Cancun and get drunk? I wanted to go by myself and be quiet. I forget everything. Every single thing I've learned. I should be on the beach getting wasted.
But it's honest and to have a sense of humor about it, because day two is the day to see how kind of crazy we become. We're not happy in retreat, we're not happy out of retreat. So glad I'm here. Day three, that starts to burn off. And if it's like a 5 to 7 day retreat, you have this nice ability to crescendo into the retreat and decrescendo out of it. And in that day 3 to 5 territory, you go really deep. I think a good 7-day retreat is about the equivalent of, I don't know, a year of therapy. But so in terms of keeping ethics, it's like, yeah, you see spiders, you see bugs, you do your best not to kill them. Like, wet a piece of paper towel, drag it across the ends, they won't die, they won't get hurt, you can place them outside. And they'll come back because they want to see their queen again. Do your best not to kill things. Be kind. The process of breaking down is what the retreat is for. That's where the breakthrough can happen. Don't bring any like angry books with you or like things that put violent images in your mind. And everything you brought in wasn't stolen. I mean, that's pretty.
Don't bring any contraband. It's nice to take one book and like say like, this is the book I'm gonna, if you're studying something, right? You just choose one, and that also helps with the pratyahara, like really focused on learning this stuff and putting it into practice.
Yeah. Yeah, before bed, a book that's fun, that you can like read a couple pages and it'll just knock you out. But it's not Dharma. Like Dharma before bed is a recipe for staying up all night, the idea. And then in terms of sexual energy, your libido will go up in the retreat. Do your best to hold it. You can edge if you want, if you feel like doing that, but like, don't come. Learn to hold it and channel it up, because that is the jet fuel that our consciousness can go into higher altitudes and commune with realities that are non-ordinary. It requires a level of energy. And the ojas, they call it, the substances of your body that are associated with bliss, we want to build it up in the system. So your vital forces are there to be used in other ways. In a tantric retreat, like a month long, they call it a leiram, which means to get fit. And they're not talking about your animal, they're talking about your astral body. Get your electrical body fit, get your nervous system fit. Need a little break? I'm almost done, but I know it's been a long day.
No worries.
We're really close.
Okay.
I gotta start talking about this stuff to keep them away. And then yeah, like the work before you get into retreat, like the months before, is super important. Like doing your best to bury the hatchet with people. Clean your affairs that bother your conscience.
Yeah, before I went to India, I went to Paris in India, so I was gone for 3 weeks, and I was like very much wanting to fully be there. But also we're starting the yoga teacher training, right? I'm working with Michael on Vessel. There's like all these things going on. So like October, November, December, I was just like nose to the grindstone. Like I'm doing it all, I'm getting it all done, I'm creating a manual, I'm creating a curriculum, blah, blah, blah. Because you want to make sure that when you go, you're not constantly being pulled out, and like your mind isn't going to, oh, I forgot to do this, or I should have paid this, or I should have talked to this person, oh, I should have cleared that up. So it's like, get all of your affairs really, really pinned up, taken care of, so that your mind has, like, so you have that mind space, right?
Yeah, like the bills thing is super important. I mean, I kind of think of it as like the life I want to step back into after the retreat is like really clean and organized and like a silver platter when you come back into it. And then be kind to yourself. Like you're there to work hard and let the retreat schedule work on you more than anything. A good retreat schedule will work on you. Showing up to the sessions on time and doing your best, yeah. But sometimes you'll have an insight that cracks you and you need to take a nap. And I can't nap because I'm supposed to be on my mat. Go take a nap. Give yourself permission to soothe the animal, right? Put some balm on the wound if it's really open. In my experience, the people who cracked up are the ones who didn't know how to like go from fifth gear down to first gear. You just, no, I gotta get enlightened for all sentient beings as soon as possible. And then throw in the fucking loony bin. You know? Use your common sense. Be kind. You don't just have to like do what these great, incredible practitioners have done in your first retreat. Like slow. Take it slow. The importance of giving up excess stimulation and activity. This is what Allison was speaking about, like slowly, barley seeding is the term. It's like a barley seed crescendos. It has a fat middle and then a decrescendos at the end. Looks like an I. That's what a good retreat schedule looks like. Ideally, let's see if you had 7 days. First 2 days, vacation. Just chill. Put your stuff in the room. Slowly set up. No stress. Put feet in the sand. Whatever you like. Ski. After those 2 days, day 1 you don't go as hard as you can. You might start getting up a little earlier than you did in the vacation days. The intensity slowly builds. It's at its peak, days 3 through 5, and then it starts to decrescendo at the end. And then maybe another vacation at the end, 2 days just to process. Don't come running into your email sphere. So that it can really take hold. And you're not going from like crazy New York level of overstimulation to nothing, because that's a shock.
It's nice to have like a luxury of the ends, right? It's like you start with something like really sweet and then move into like more Spartan towards the middle. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, thank God for that massage.
Yeah. Part of excess stimulation and activity will be lungy behavior. Are you guys familiar with this term?
The lung manuals in your book, remember we read that in the beginning.
Yeah, lungy is like you're in your cabin and you see like all the cracks in the wood, and you get your little brush out and just OCD to 11. And just busy with like, get all the forks straight upright. Fucking with the forks, and you'll see is this desire to you're kind of, when you're in retreat, you're frankly trying to incite cabin fever. You are. You want to go a little up on edge, but not so much that you get weird or that you're wasting your time with minutia. There's that check-in, and it's been known to happen.
Yeah, I feel like it happens because it's like a distraction from dealing with the things that come up in a way.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and last one. Overcoming thoughts about sense objects and other things. That's how they phrase it. Overcoming thoughts about sense objects and other things. So it's like I find that it's like nostalgia in the retreat. And I'm thinking about.
Oh yeah, I had that.
What's it like?
Yeah, like I was in a silent, solitary retreat by myself, and I just started thinking about like old boyfriends, like I'm married, you know what I mean? I'm like, should I call that person when I go back to New York? Like, no. Why is that coming up right now? I think that's the same thing with like the brahmachari thing now, right? Yeah, nostalgia, that's a huge one.
You'll visit the parade
Like
of
yearning for things that you totally like not thought about in decades. So strange. Or like I was like thinking about really old television shows that I used to watch as a child, and like remembering the theme songs and like them getting stuck in my head, like the jingles for cartoons and things. Yeah. So you have to see that happening and then like not attach to it, or else you'll like get a little bit crazy. My first one was very strange. Very strange.
Do you want to talk about it? One-on-one.
Yeah, the mind will purge all that stuff, all the commercials you saw as a kid, all the advertisements. Like, that's what it's for anymore. And it's hard to deal with, but like sense of humor, that's where the map really comes in. You can like work it out physically. But you may have like baby shark in your head for 3 days. That's how it is.
But do you like
Oh my
deal
God,
with
now
this?
that's gonna be.
But like how to work with these things? Maybe it's something that like your body is trying to tell you. Maybe it's like a trauma that's not completely healed, and it's like a symbol.
Yeah, fully.
You have to face it and ask yourself what's going on.
This is where I discovered the value of Shavasana meditation. I was sitting, and then day 3 came, and I'm like, I'm sitting upright as if I'm presenting my good posture to an audience. This is bullshit. I'm fronting. I gotta lay down, get closer to the ground. And then all the stuff I had from childhood, like my angry 4-year-old came up. And I was like, whoa, I forgot about you. And it was scary. It was like you had a pressure cooker compressed for a long time. You can't do, like, it's like a kombucha. You just can't open a shaken kombucha. It'll explode. So you had to kind of crack it. Sometimes it's like just a little bit of a release, and then that's enough. That's enough. So all the restorative and the, like your heavy blankets, your most comfortable shawls, like the stuff are comforting, because wounds will open, and it's a part of the shadow side of the psyche to come into the light of consciousness. You know, and shadow can't withstand light. It's actually offering itself to die, but it needs to be felt and understood to be included back into our energy as pure energy. And that stuff can be very painful when it comes up, and it may take you a whole retreat to process just a fraction of it. But it's good work.
Does this mean when stuff comes up, you carve out time to meditate on that part?
If you volitionally choose to do that, and you see, because it won't go away, the more we suppress it, it just keeps popping up. Like
I feel like I
whack-a-mole.
take the long-term path where I'm like, yes, I see that it's an issue that you just realized you had from 12 years ago. You know, I keep that over there, maybe I'll deal with it later, but I'm wondering if I like, speed that up, sit down, cushion.
You may have a journal, because these things can be very important and hard to see. So you catch the tiger by the tail. And if you're doing shamatha meditation, which isn't with an object like that, but it keeps coming up, and you say, okay, well, I'm practicing shamatha so I can focus on why this keeps recurring, where did it come from, and work with it. But that's a conscious choice. Otherwise, like, the mind gets so desiring stimulation, it'll invent stress, it'll invent fantasy to occupy itself. But you may just know intuitionally, it's time to work with this, because I don't get to see it often. Yeah. And journaling is huge.
Can you talk about shamatha versus vipassana meditation a little bit for them?
Sure. We're going to stop at 5:30?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just like a little intro. We haven't really touched on that.
Okay. So, friend's dog, I like to call him Sandwich. He's a big, sloppy, lovable pit bull who drools like crazy. And I went like that with my dirty piggy, and he locked on it, just locked. And I can see him drooling, and his eyes are dilated. He just wants that. Oh my God. That's shamatha. I'm not kidding. It's effortless, single-pointed focus. That's it. Okay, now I'm greatly simplifying it, but please don't think this is something alien. I talked about hostility and addiction as the two qualifiers of the right and left channel. And then when someone triggers us with a threat, and we feel, oh, they're talking about me, they're threatening me, we focus on that. We're holding this worry and can't let it go. We call it dukkha samadhi. Dukkha means like a thought that hurts the holder of the thought, suffering in the form of worry. What they said, they threatened me. It could also come in the form of seeing something you want, you know. You hold a cigarette up to someone who's trying to break the habit, and they're gonna lock on it. That's why sex in advertisement, you know, because it sells. People can focus on it. So shamatha is, Geshe-la describes it as, you know, it's as important as reading, the ability to read. But for a spiritual practitioner, it's as important of a skill. Does anyone know what shamatha means? Stable?
Stillness.
Stillness? It could be translated as that. Quietude. Serenity. It's the place where when you're doing what you love to do the most, and you know when you started and you look at the clock again and it's 3 hours, and it feels like it went by in 10 minutes, you were in it, and you were in flow. The shamatha for a meditator is being able to focus on any object you choose, whether it's the sensations of your breath, or a candle, or a thought in the theater of the mind. Ultimately, the primordial awareness of the mind itself, and all the thought forms have settled, just awareness of awareness. To be able to stay with that effortlessly. Meaning there's no agitation or scatteredness, and there's no dullness or sinking. It's the platform for vipassana. Vipassana means the insights. Or like the expedition. I love this. Like we're talking about retreat, right? You're going to go away from New York to wherever your safe spot is. Your bat cave. You're going to go to retreat. So it's like, it's not a route. Like if you were getting your ass kicked on a battlefield and everybody died and they took your weapons and your food, you got routed. But we go on retreat to say like, well, you know what? I need to step away for a bit. I don't want to get routed. I'm going to retreat. I'm going to back up. We get away from life. We go into retreat and we practice this single pointedness because the set and setting are ideal. Everything's there, all the stuff we talked about. You have ideal conditions. You have instructions. You know what to do. You're not sitting there guessing. What do? What does this look like? So that expedition and vipassana, like if you imagine you had 2 big painter's buckets full of wet cement, and I stick my feet in both, and my feet are being slowly dried into cement. Right? Before that happens, before life has completely eaten up all of our vitality and all of our resources, all of our attention, all of our emotional capacity, you pull your feet out of those 2 cans and you go on an adventure. literally exped. You remove your feet from the drying cement of samsara and you go on an adventure. So this can be in the inner realm. Like one of the reasons that we chose the name vessel is that it's like a ship, right? This is my vessel. Could be a boat or a spaceship. Or you, right? This is a vessel. We travel time, space, one place to another. And I think everybody knows in here they can travel without moving. You don't have to move your animal to trip. You're ever taking mushrooms or ayahuasca? You stay still and you're completely in another realm. So I think that's what they call it, tripping. It's funny, you're not physically moving anywhere. Now, these techniques are how to do that without the help of a plant ally or a substance, because you have an inner pharmacy that you can tap. All of these practices are meant to show you how to get the energy in such a way that it's stable, like relaxed. Your mind is aware. As your body's relaxed and your mind is aware, I could do that and not startle you. You're ready. Your attention is on your object of intention without forcing it. And then you start to lean in to the subtleties. It's like we were talking about before. If I barely touch her, you know, there's an intensity of sensitivity and being vulnerable and open in the present. It's feminine. And we can begin to feel things that are beyond the senses, like when, you know, when someone's looking at you and you can feel it, or you know when you're being recorded, like, or you know when there's a shift in barometric pressure, like that. The nervous system has a far greater spectrum of delicacy than our physical animal senses do. So as you start to lean into that level of sensitivity and vividness, and the senses begin to cross, we have these insights dawn on us. And they could be anything from the truth of impermanence to the truth of the self we feel cannot be found. There's no self like we feel it, like we intuit it, but to really experience it, which they call that an Arya. The truth of suffering, that there isn't any actual satisfaction or dissatisfaction inherently in objects. They are mirrors for us to see all we've done come to bear in the present moment. You know, like so these things start to dawn on us, they could be shattering. But because you created a container for your mind that's relaxed, aware, like open, stable, and intense, when these insights come, they don't shatter you. You can like transmute them. And a retreat is the ideal setting to have this adventure. And you know, from the Lung Manual, which is critical, like that thing's gold. You know how after you've laid your wires bare and shot electricity through it, you know how to put the plastic back on the wire so that you can go to bed and get rest and do it again the next day without getting batty. And that's one major thing in retreat. If you lose a night's sleep, it can not be healthy. There has the ability to ground the energy as much as you have the ability to raise and peak it. So it's like navigation. questions or comments, go early. Yeah.
Is there an origination of retreats? Like you said, Jason Kappa did it in 49.
You mean a first retreat?
Yeah, first retreat, or like where the concept originated and maybe why somebody thought it was important.
Probably to get away from their family, I would imagine. Can't stand you mother. I don't know. I don't.
Is it like the three trainings of the wheel in Buddha? Did he teach like, he was teaching in the city and then he went away and taught somewhere else? No? That's not what you can.
Well, I'm thinking just like the scope of all humanity, even long before the historical Buddha. Like, you imagine people going on a vision quest away from their tribe, going to hike to the side of the mountain and spend the night there in a dugout. Tribes have been doing this for a long time.
Women used to go into a red tent, right? When they were menstruating, they would have this retreat, all the women in the tribe, like the most sacred holy time. So they would go and have extraordinary realization, be together.
I watched this amazing documentary yesterday by Herzog about a tribe, well, not a tribe, but like the first human, basically. And they used to go to caves where they didn't live to paint and perform rituals, sometimes by themselves, because there's a lot of evidence that some of these paintings dating for certain dates were made all by the same one guy. Maybe he was retreating in the cave.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Having a time for creativity and insight.
What years was that?
I think it's like 36,000. The painting state in France, actually, in a cave in France. I forget, Chauvet cave. Those are the earliest human things found. Figurative. But yeah.
When we talk about solo retreat, are you talking about like that you're actually going to an organized retreat and then you're like that you're having a solo experience, whether you're like not talking or I don't know, I don't really, or are you saying like this is you could plan it and then you go and do your own thing?
Yeah, you go by yourself. And if it was longer than a week, you'll need a retreat caretaker to check in, bring you fresh vegetables and fruit once. If it's longer than a week, more than once. But you're there, you're not seeing another human. Entirely in solitude.
So then, are there like schedules that your teacher comes up with, or do you guys have schedules that you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, the schedules I have are from different teachers for different kinds of retreats. And they're also tweakable. If you wanted to do more of a creative retreat, you can build in that time. And if someone needed more time in nature, we build in that time. So it's not like, don't ever change this. And yeah, once that's part of the deal with this, at least I'm not leading this training, but when I do lead trainings, my deal is if you guys want to get this teaching, then within a year, you need to find a place and lock it up in your calendar when you're going to that place, for how long to do a retreat. And I won't give the personal instructions, like the one-on-one coffee instructions, until I see those dates have been booked and the place has been secured. Because it's hard, especially the first time, it's hard for us to understand it. There's so much benefit. A teacher's job is to kind of help lovingly nudge. No, you're going to fall apart. It's going to be great. So yeah, once you have your dates and your location, I don't know if your agreement with Allison or Coco is, they'll give you the deeper loan on it once you have that. And you come to Tuscany, I'm leading a deep practitioner retreat in August. So that'll be a good one.
Transcendence.
Is there an ideal time to go, like within your own practice? So if you're like hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time on a retreat, would that be too much, or should it be somebody who's meditating every day and has their own personal practice before they decide to do a retreat? Like, how advanced should you be, or into your own like asana every day or meditation to sort of be ready for a retreat?
Well, you guys have you guys have an ideal trajectory because you're learning about this. You're already attracted to it, otherwise you wouldn't come into the training. You're given all this time to learn about it and practice it. And then you have a personal relationship with the teachers so that as you guys get to know each other and it's time for you to select dates and place to go on retreat, you can have that conversation with one of us and you say, okay, here's what you've learned. This is an ideal amount of time to go. If you're not feeling ready yet for a solitary, we can recommend this group. And it won't be a waste of your time. I hear a lot of retreats are just like bullshit. Like the teacher's like, yeah, do whatever you feel. And you're like, well, are you gonna teach me or not? You know, like go for someone who's gonna push you because you deserve it. You're leaning into some really awesome spirit tech here. And then, yeah, like each day, you'd want to have asana yoga. You want to have, I'd say, 3 to 4 hours of meditation minimum. Really good meals. Maybe like at dawn and dusk, like now, it's ideal for subtle body practice and pranayama because the sun and moon channels in your body are mirroring what's happening here. So you maybe do your Kundalini sessions then. Loving kindness, gratitude meditation before bed, so your mind kind of closed sweetly in the day. And so for all of you, I would recommend either like you go on group retreat with the teachers who are leading you afterwards, and or if you feel ready for it, just dive into a solitary, but try to go like 5 days.
You can also do a solitary within a spiritual community, so you're having your own experience and somebody else is cooking.
Yeah, there's retreat places where you can, like, you don't have to, rent a house and like find a caretaker. Like you can find cabins that like, there's places in upstate New York, there's places everywhere where you could say, oh, I want to come and stay for 5 days, but I have my own program. Like I'm not going to go to all of your stuff unless you want, right? So it's not like, there's different levels. There's group retreats where everything is scheduled, you're doing everything with the group, this is the deal. Then there's just spaces where you can say, I'm going to come in, use all of your logistics and people and do my own program. And then there's the fully on your own where you like find a place and just do it.
Yeah?
The Vipassana, I thought that was a silent type of retreat. Is that a different word or it's just?
No, that's right. The Goenka tradition, there's Vipassana retreats, which are usually 10 days. There's a center up in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. Geshe actually studied directly with Goenka-ji. And you have like 3 days of shamatha practice and the remaining 7 days to do the Vipassana method, which is for them a body scanning technique. You slowly pass your awareness through your skin boundary, up and down. And then by day 7, you're really sweeping it through and having some pretty wild experiences. There are teachers there that usually hold space for the group who do metta meditation. For those particular Goenka-ji retreats, they usually play VHS tapes of that teacher for the Dharma talks once or twice a day. And then there are many other kinds, like with Alan Wallace and John Yates, where you have a live teacher there and go for longer. You could be, a month. Some people go in for 3 years. So the term Vipassana means insight, and it's the way it's activated as a practice may look differently.
Did you have a question, Tasha?
Yes, so how to turn a life into retreat?
It's like they say, if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. New York is a very strong, loud, vibrant city. Find neighborhoods to live where you feel the energy's grounded. Like for me, Fort Greene, Clinton Hill. There's something very stable there. I like that it's not a major subway system because it's just quieter. The conditions set and setting are agreeable. Start to contract your social sphere. The people who exhaust you, bum you out, who are toxic, start to cull. Clean out your closets. It's just slowly is getting everything just essential. There's nothing there that's not needed.
Commit to your practice, make sure you're sitting every day, doing asana every day, watch what you eat, go to bed early, stop drinking, stop smoking, things like that. Like really purify everything in your life, and then it'll be like all the time.
An office job.
Teach people in your office, look at it as an opportunity to continue your practice. Totally. People in the office need to hear it more than anyone else.
Yes.
But like the retreat, like most people think of it, like you're by yourself in the cabin in the woods. That's a very special set and setting. And I personally can't have that vibe in a place like this. It's just, I've been talking New York City. It's just too loud. It's upregulating. And needs to go away. But that's for me. Yeah. A 1 day a week retreat also. It might be your Sunday where you don't turn on your devices. You don't go out of the house. The cloister. Start like that. And it's going to be deep. Okay.
So this week is Michael's last classes at 3 Jewels, Monday and Wednesday. So if you can get to 3 Jewels 6 o'clock Monday or Wednesday, please come on out. Michael is actually opening a studio. I'm helping him called Vessel, South Fifth Avenue, 29th Street. I'm just starting preview classes now. It's a really beautiful, magical space. I think we could fit everyone in for one class if you all wanted to come. There's 11.
That would be it. It's a small space. The idea is to have an inclusive, bespoke experience. Like old school yoga, there's a chance to really be together and not in a wash of people.
Like how we are here.
Yeah. And please come, it's a magical space.
How do we find?
Vessel, I'll give you a website.
We're on Mind Body too.
Yeah.
We'll be going live soon.
The website is Vessel Academy. .co, and we're on Instagram as Vessel Academy, and everything's there. The studio's on 5th between 29th and 30th. And, you know, everything in the space was, other than the props, was handmade by our friends. The artwork and it's custom ceiling, CNC cut ceiling. The light is very trippy. And it's like practicing inside of an art gallery. And it's been a lifelong dream. I've resisted having a brick and mortar for a long time. The conditions seem to be right at this time. And so this is our month to soft open. Please come.
Yeah, so maybe we can find a time in a day where everyone we can just have a practice there together. So between sessions, we're having off next weekend again, right? So we'll have 2 on, 1 off, 2 on for the rest of the time. Maybe for your 2-week break, you can find a day where you can kind of create retreat conditions for yourself. You know, maybe think of some of the qualities of retreat, find a day in your schedule where you can, you know, experience several hours of practice, not really going outside with, you know, on social media or something like that. That would be a nice way, if you can, in the next 2 weeks, or maybe before the end of the training, if you can find a day. Just like, don't make it too difficult if you have to go somewhere. See if you can give yourself a home retreat, okay? I would like to see everyone's transcription, so if you didn't do it, do it. And if you can send them to me, or if you did it on paper, maybe just send me a picture of it so I can just check it out. I would like to see those. This time we're gonna, in the homework email, we're gonna send you a review, like a survey, like how's it going, what are you learning, what works, what doesn't work. So if you could please send that back, Stephen, we'd really like to see that. And then I'll start doing the online meditations Thursdays at noon. So I'll send you the link. That's with our friends at the Mind Oasis. It's an online meditation community. So Kelly Karuna Schwartz, who studied with Michael, and she started this platform. We've been really connected with her for the past year or so since she's been doing it. And she said, if there's a time that works for your group, let me know, and I'll give you a time slot to use. So we'll do it on Zoom. It's either you can join by video, or you can just dial in if you just want to have it on like your speakerphone. And that way we'll just have like an easy way to practice. You don't have to like go anywhere to do it. Just dial in, and then we can just stay together through our break. Okay. I'm not going to fire up the projector this time, but I'll send you the notes and the slides. I'll send you Rose Aaron's notes, and I'll send you Sierra's notes as well. I'll put them all in the Google Drive. Okay. Shall we close? We'll get it done a little bit early. So just find a comfortable seat. Make your spine nice and long and spacious. Close your eyes gently, just letting your eyelids rest together. Bring your awareness to your breath and follow your exhale completely out of your body. And let your inhale come like a gift. Take a moment just to review all of the beautiful offerings we've received over the past couple of days. Consider all of the elements, all of the people, all of the perfect alignment that had to occur to bring us here together, this beautiful space. And rejoice of the opportunity to receive these transmissions. To be surrounded by a community of people who care for you and support you. really awesome. You have 3 chants of Om to finish. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here and for making this possible. Thank you, Michael, for coming to join us.
Well, thank you.
Have a great couple of weeks. See you. Thank you.
Funny, is it early?
What an odyssey with Jenna on Friday night.
Yeah,
It got a little weird.
what happened?
We just like went to the Smith around the corner. I don't know how we got separated from every single person. And then we were just having all kinds of crazy conversations. Oh my god.
Were you recording there?
Don't say anything
I can feel in
incriminating.
the red eyes.